Uncle Ron stuff. Today's episode is do it yourself. Uh, we've forgotten how to do that, and this is a waving my flag for if you own it, you ought to know something about it, and you ought to be able to do basic repairs on it. Okay, so you're saying, look, I'm a lawyer. I make 500 grand a year or something. I don't have time to fix this or do that. I hire somebody to do that. I understand that. If you're a movie star, you don't want to cut the hedges, you pay somebody to do that. If money is never an object, no problem. Except if the world went to crap, if the grid went down, the electric grid, the water grid, even the internet grid, or something else catastrophic happened, you not knowing anything about anything that's around you is not going to help because people, what are you going to, money is not going to be worth anything. You need to learn basic survival skills of the stuff that's around you. Okay, you don't need a dishwasher. You can wash it by hand. That that's the answer. No electricity? Sure, call an electrician. He isn't going to fix it. And no electricity. You can wash it by hand. Water goes out. I don't know where there's water around you that you'd even bucket out. The point being is that we have moved, it wasn't that long ago, let's say 100 years ago, that would be 1925. Things were looking up then, although most of rural America did not have electricity at that time, and most did not have septic systems out there for sewage. They had outhouses, and people were really off the grid. There was no grid. They lived off the grid. They needed to either grow their own food or hunt for their own food. They had to make a lot of things. They had to take care of what they had. They knew how to put a new wick in a kerosene lantern. They knew how to do this. They knew how to do that. They knew how to can vegetables so they could have them. Well, we've moved so far beyond that. Like even for heat, 100 years ago, coal was around, but out in the outlands, people were burning wood. So you either had to cut down trees, gather up wood, keep a big wood pile handy for winter, bring it in, put it on the stove, light it up, take the ashes out, repeat all winter long just to have heat. Okay. We don't have to do that anymore. We just hit a thermostat and change the heat until it doesn't work anymore. Okay. And if the grid went down, there's nothing it's not going to help you at all. Now, I don't know what you're going to do in that case. You may have a fireplace in your house and you could go gather wood. You go, that's never going to happen. The grid's never going to go down. I'm not going to be in that situation. Okay, fine. So you got plenty of money and your gas fireplace doesn't want to come on. Okay, and you don't know much about it anyway. All you do is push a button and it fire it up every time until it doesn't. Okay, so you look around and try to find somebody who can repair gas fireplaces. Maybe you'll find somebody in your local area, maybe not. When they show up, they'll say, well, uh, this, you need a new flocker wiki and seven switches, and it'll be $1,000. And you have no idea if what he is saying makes any sense at all, but what are you going to do? He says $1,000. Well, you can live without your fireplace. Or you can pay them. Now, if you got tons of money, you don't need to worry about it. You just pay them until 3, 4 weeks later, it doesn't work anymore. Try to call up the guy. He's not picking up his phone. You're out $1,000 and it's still not working. This happens all the time. You don't have any basic knowledge of how that fire gas fireplace works, and you should have some basic knowledge of how the flame gets lit and how you would do it yourself if you needed to do that. There's 1,000 examples I could give you, and I'm sorry I'm waving this flag saying you need. I don't care what it is. You got a car, you know how to put gas in it. That it. The car dies on you, so you have to get it towed and put a battery in it because you don't know how to put a battery in a car. Have you ever even charged a car with another car with a set of jumper cables? Have you ever taken a flat tire off? Or you just called somebody, AAA came out and did it for you. What if no AAA exists? All of a sudden your cell phones are gone. You can't even call anybody. What are you going to do? Sit there and suck your thumb because you don't know how to do anything? You don't even know where the spare tire is in your car. Some basic knowledge. I'm talking about if you own it, you got some responsibility for it. You can't just hand it off to the experts. For one thing, there's not enough experts around. A lot of people pretend they know what they're doing and they don't. You can get a lot of bad characters, actors who are doing various maintenance tasks around your home. To be totally dependent upon a service economy around you to fix and take care of everything is a bad way to go. You're on an iffy situation. If anything changes drastically, that services, those people won't be there, or they're going to want so much money you can't afford it. Back 125 years ago, I said 100 years ago, the initiative to it was known. If you bought it, you had to maintain it, and you had to learn about it because you didn't have a lot of money and you couldn't pay somebody else. You needed to. You had to learn how to do it. You learned how to jury rig something to make it work. I heard a long, long, long time ago that when you were out in the rural areas, you could tell a successful farmer from a potentially successful farmer from an unsuccessful farmer by the size of his junk pile. You didn't throw away stuff. You might not be able to get it to work, but you didn't throw it away because it might be handy in the future for parts. You go, no, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I don't need to know how my air conditioner works. When that guy tells me it needs a new compressor and it's only 10 years old, I believe him. And $3,000, yeah, okay. I mean, what am I going to do? But you don't know anything about air conditioning, how it works. He could tell you anything in the world. And you say, oh, okay, what am I going to do? I don't know. You might shop for another repair person. And they're all going to encourage you that your equipment is old and that it needs being replaced. And air conditioners, talk to an honest guy. He'll tell you they can last 25 and 30 years, not 10 years, but 25 or 30 years, especially if the coils inside your house are aluminum and not copper and have been replaced one time. That's a major leak point. And if it's, you know, there's 1,000 things like that. I don't care what it is. Um, so much stuff is thrown away because of a 10-cent part, or the owner just doesn't know what button to flip, how to check the batteries in it, how many devices get thrown in the trash because it had a battery in it and the homeowner didn't know it had a battery in it or how to get it out. It required a screwdriver, and good Lord, he's not going to have a screwdriver. I mean, that's just, I don't know how many tools people own in general. You would think that everybody would have a screwdriver and a hammer, but I'm sure some don't, you know. That's if anything bad happens, you're going to be in big trouble. You don't even have the tools to try to do anything with. I expect in the future, if something went really bad, tools would bring a high premium. Might cost you 6 bars of gold to buy a hammer or a saw. Saw would be really expensive aspects in the future. Anybody with a skilled knowledge set like how to fix a gasoline engine or how to rebuild a carburetor or how to recharge an air conditioning system or how to repair a hole in a roof or anything like that, the price of that is going to continue to go up because more and more people are abandoning the concept that they have any responsibility about anything that they own and how it works and what they could do to check it first before giving up on it, either throwing it in the trash or calling in a repairman and being taken for all it's worth. I've seen in the local neighborhood here where, and I understand women, by and large, were never purely instructed that they had any responsibility when it came to anything. They they got in a car, they drove the car, they got out. That was it. Husband takes care of everything. Not true anymore. There's a lot of widows around, and they do have to deal with it. But they're at the mercy of the dealership and whatever he tells them because they don't know anything about cars. They know it takes gasoline. That's it. If it doesn't turn on, they got to call somebody. They don't know how to check anything. Okay, but I see stuff around here all the time. Let's talk about plumbing. Just toilet and a faucet. Every house has got an indoor toilet and a faucet, but you don't know anything about it. You push down the flush lever, it goes away, crap goes away. You turn on the faucet, hot water comes out. That's all you know. That's all you want to know. That's all you need to know, right? Okay. So I see stuff all the time where some lady says my toilet is not flushing correctly, and the last repairman came in and said, I need a whole new toilet and it'd be $1,000 to install it. Now, this is extreme case, but an absolute positive lie. And that's what bothers me about this. Without having any knowledge of how anything works, you can be just ripped off. Now, if you got a ton of money, so what? But who has a ton of money to waste on stuff like that? A toilet can be repaired for $15, $25. Most usually by yourself. It's not that hard. A more severe case on a toilet where you have to take it apart and you never have to throw away the porcelain or whatever that material is made of unless it cracks. There's no reason for a brand new toilet if the bowl at the top and at the bottom have not cracked. I've never seen a cracked one. I know they can if you hit them with a hammer or you over tighten the bowl or something, you could break it. But whatever that material is, it doesn't break. It has some rubber here and there. That's all that ever goes bad on them is the rubber seals. It's a really simple, easy job. Um, you can do it half hour, 45 minutes maybe. Okay. So you call a plumber out and he says $1,000 for a new toilet. Well, I can't do that. I mean, he says, okay, well, maybe I could fix it. I'll take it apart. I can put a new flush valve in it at $500. $500? Well, I drove out here. I'm spending my time here. The skill set required to do that is so minimal. If you're a lawyer, your skill set is 1,000 million times larger and more complex than that. You're going to pay him $500 an hour. You charge $500, and okay, what are you going to do? It's when you need a lawyer, you need a lawyer, and but there's fewer of them than there are plumber hackers. So you pay whatever. Anyway, it should gall you that a $30 repair, you can go to anywhere and get the parts you need for that to replace that. If you did a whole complete, take it all out and replace all the rubber, it might be $65. You don't need to throw the toilet away. It just galls me when I go to the dump and I see whole toilet units thrown in the trash. Now, maybe they had cracks in them, maybe not, but I expect not. Somebody sold them on a new toilet. Same way with faucets. There's they start leaking. Okay, real simple. Take apart, put a new cartridge in. $30. You're good to go again. You have to use a pipe wrench. You have to take this off. It's a 5 minute job. You can place both and it'll stop leaking, I promise you. And if a plumber comes in, he's going to say, well, I don't know, this underfittings here, it's getting pretty old. And they're brass and you can look at them, they look gruddy and everything. I think I need to put a whole new sink set in. And, I expect that you would prefer a Delta over this. And I can do it all probably in one day for, $900. What are you going to do? You don't know nothing. You're going to pay them $900. In the future, it might be they say, well, that's going to be $1,800. Or people keep going, well, they don't know anything about anything. It could be $3,000 to fix that sink. And what are you going to do? Maybe you might thinking about learning how to do it yourself. I'm just telling you, the future doesn't have to be the way it is. We experience grid electrical outages. We could experience water is going to become scarcer and scarcer. We might have outages of water. Certain times of the day you don't have water. All this is possible. If you're not prepared, if you don't know anything, if you can't fix anything, if you don't even know how something sort of works, you're going to be in big trouble. I know you don't care. You got enough money to take care of it. You just pay them. And guy, you take a car into a dealership and he says, blah, 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 $5,000. What are you going to do? He says, you need all new brake jobs. You need a new this and you need a new that. And, your car's got 60,000 miles on it. It's time for a complete exchange of your brake fluid and blah, blah, blah. He knows what he's doing. He's an expert. I don't know anything. So you pay him whatever he says. $6,000. Most of it totally unneeded, not required. Look at any book. It's not there. You're become a victim. And since you don't know anything about anything, you have to believe what he tells you. And they lie. I'm sorry, they mislead you. Now, they think in their sense that they're doing you a favor because, yeah, eventually something, the brake might go bad. So if we replace it now, then we probably have another 60, 80,000 miles on it before you need to worry about it again. So we're doing what we call preventive maintenance to keep your car experience what you want. You want to get in, turn on, drive it away. Okay, this applies to everything. I don't care what it is. You need to know if you own it. You need to know something about it. I don't care if it's a television, a CD player, Roku box, laptops. People have laptops and they shouldn't. They don't know enough to use a computer. I understand it's incredibly complex. I'm not saying that you sit down and you study 6 books, read everything about it, try to understand it. You go to classes. I'm not saying that, but little by little, you know, you can at least learn how to check something. I know people have thrown stuff away because the cord was pulled out of the wall and they never even checked. And it's really bad when you get instructions for new stuff and it says make sure cord is in wall, and if it doesn't work, check that the outlet is still good. Now, this is common sense, I think, to 99% of the people, but I keep overestimating what people have in common sense in the way of stuff in their house. The toasters, the dishwashers, the electric stove, the gas stove. They don't know anything about any of that stuff. I have a gas stove that wasn't lighting properly. Um, Guarantee you, if I'd called in repairman, he said that stove is too old. You must replace it. And this was a $3,000, $4,000 stove to start with, and we would have to put in another $3,000 or $4,000 stove plus installation charges, which because you're playing with natural gas, the guy's going to charge 2 grand or something because it could blow up on you. You don't want messing with that kind of stuff because you don't know anything about how to do that. You could blow yourself up and kill yourself. You don't want to do that. Okay, so in this particular case, I wound up repairing it for like $60. I mean, yeah. Did I know all about it to start with? No. Did I do some research? Yes. Did I sort of begin to learn? Yes. Did I take it apart gradually and then sort it out and figure out what was going on? Yes, I did. How do I build those skill sets? Because from ground one, I was poor. I had no money. I could not pay somebody to put an alternator on my car. When it wouldn't start and the alternator wasn't kicking on, I knew, and the battery was good. I knew it was the alternator was bad. The thing, or the starter motor. That's what I'm referring to. The starter motor. The starter motor had gone bad. They go bad. So I could buy a starter motor for $65, brand spanking new. Unbolt some bolts, put it back in there, and up and going. If I had taken it to dealership, it would have probably been 4 times that much, 5 times that much, maybe even more now. And it's just, if you don't mind wasting money and throw it, most people they don't have enough. They don't have enough money to be throwing it away on simple stuff. Now, let's back on the simple stuff, the simplest stuff, whether something's plugged in or has batteries in it. They sell they sell these uh, gallons of weed kill, and they sell them now with a electrically driven hand pump, which is really cool. I much prefer that over having to pressurize a tank or something that and well, I like it a lot. I use them, okay, but it has three batteries in the handle. I suspect most people, when they buy that, they empty that gallon out and they throw the whole thing away, including a battery powered sprayer. Um, or if they actually took got another replaceable gallon and put that same sprayer on it, they would continue to use that sprayer until it wasn't working anymore. And that's when they either don't realize or don't want to deal with it. It had batteries in it. You could take the end off, put three new batteries in it, and that sprayer will continue to function. I'm sure the landfill is full of those sprayers that had either good batteries in them or bad batteries, but they were thrown away. And clearly it was meant to have battery replacement. But I don't want to deal with that. I don't have a screwdriver. I don't even have batteries. I go to a lot of places, homes and stuff, and they'll say, "Well, this isn't working." And well, you have any batteries? No. You can't. Having stash of batteries around is always a valid thing. Now I know they age, but I mean, at least batteries. You ought to be able to replace batteries or remote controls and replace batteries. My TV doesn't work. You ever think about the batteries in it? It's got a battery in it, you mean? Oh, I, I'm sorry. It's just, I've been thinking about it for a really long time. And the point being is that our culture and our economy moves toward specialization. You have skills. Everybody has one skill or two skills, and you make a living off of that skill set. And you rely on others for their skill sets, which is fine. You live in a community, and there's a guy who can change the tire on your car, and there's a guy who can mow your lawn for you instead of you doing it. You could use some exercise, but nah, I don't want to do that. That's service lower level people. I know. No, no. I watch, so I have to pay them $100 a month or $150 a month to come by and mow my lawn. I'm okay with that. And then 3 years from now, it's $300. Well, what am I going to do? Um, maybe everybody has an infinite pile of money and they just don't care, and that's okay. I'm not like that. I I don't want to spend any more on anything than I have to, and if I can repair it, I sure as hell try. I don't always get repairs 100%, and I can remember every single one of them that I didn't get. I failed. My level of knowledge only goes down so deep, and I don't have the equipment and the know-how to properly diagnose like a circuit board with capacitors, resistors, and transistors on it. No, I can do a module replacement on that, but I know it's the module. I can at least do that, but I cannot diagnose down at that level, and I don't do repairs to that level. Software is really nasty, and that's a never-ending learning cycle. But again, all I'm trying to say, and all I'm trying to preach, nobody will listen, nobody will care, is that if you own it, you need to know something about it, at least basics. Some people don't even know where this comes from or that comes from. Where does the water come from? And that you use, where did it come from? Do you know? Out of a lake, out of a deep well? You don't care. Where's all the flush toilet stuff going? Do you know where that goes? Where it's processed? How it's processed? You probably don't. You don't care. So what? That's all fine and dandy. You're just counting on everything staying the way it is. And look around you. If nothing else, you got to admit there's some climate, something going on, and the economy is cost of living is rising all the time, and people who have only one skill set are getting, if you only have one skill set, and there's like 50 million people like you have that same skill set, you're not going to get paid crap. If you have a skill set that only 10,000 people can do, you can ask for a lot more money. Or you have a skill set that you have a very wide audience. If you live in a very, very, very affluent, he does anything for themselves, you can make a ton of money just being a painter. I mean, you need to be a decent painter, but you can make a ton of money just being a painter because you go in and you say that the paint to trim on your house can be 5 grand, 6 grand, 10 grand. Cost to him, that's probably paying him 150, $200 an hour, which is probably more than you ever made an hour. But that's what he's saying. You can call other painters in, they may give you a much higher price or maybe a little lower price. And you start wondering about that lower price, what kind of job I'm going to get, maybe a crappy job. And that's really hard. What credentials do these people have? How do you know? They even know what they're doing. And a lot of them don't. They're learning on the job, just like if you had to do it yourself. It'd be the first time they ever took that apart. Your refrigerator stops cooling. What are you going to do? Call in the guy. Guy says, you need a new refrigerator. I mean, he'd rather sell you a new refrigerator than take the compressor out of the one you got. And I understand that because he says, I'll put a new compressor in. And then 6 months from now, it's leaking again. So now you're going to be mad at me because I put a new compressor in when I should have told you to buy a new refrigerator. That happens all the time. And I understand that. But I'm at least going to try to fix it first. If I waste some money doing that, I do. But I try because 90% of the time it gets fixed and it stays fixed. And I don't trust it nothing. So I fix it and then I watch it. I watch it. I watch it for a long time. Make sure it is absolutely positively fixed. So no one is going to pay any attention to this. I'm just saying if you own it, you ought to know something about it and maybe even do some basic repairs like swapping batteries maybe, or if it doesn't work, you could inspect the batteries that might have corroded, or this doesn't work like it used to, or something that you don't just throw it in the trash and fill up the landfill or it gets shipped to China or whatever. Just some basic level of understanding of what it is and how it works. Just that. Uh, my door won't shut properly. It's now something the house is shifting. Oh no. Well, look, just some looking at it. I mean, maybe you don't have an even eyes and mindset to do that, but to see what's level or maybe where it's catching, or maybe, in a primitive sort of way, perhaps just run some sandpaper over one part of it. Oh no, I'm fading out, which is telling me that I've gone too long. Under Ron stuff, this is all about do it yourself and how you ought to know if you own it, you ought to know something about it. And I think that's a very fair thing to wave my flag about. And I'm getting long in the tooth. And today is the 21st of October, 2021. Hope everybody has a good day. I know this is going in empty air. It's like I'm broadcasting from the moon. There's nobody got a radio around to even hear me. Okay, bye bye.